guys, my name is Gabrielle Robinson.
And my name is Vanessa Liu, and we're your co-hosts for the Life Unfiltered podcast.
Today we have our first official student guest. Her name is Cam Lewis, and she's going to talk about managing friendships. We're so excited to have you, Cam.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So introduce us to who you are, what you do, what grade you're in, and what school you go to.
Yeah, so like they said, my name is Cam Lewis. I am a senior at Athens High School, along with Nessa and Gabrielle. Within Athens, I'm, a part of BSA, just a member, love BSA. My sophomore year, I founded a club called Impact Athens with Bella Faye. If you guys are interested, check that out. We have their Instagram, everything set up. And then other than that, I'm a manager at Benito's Pizza. That's where I spend a lot of my time. I've been doing that since I was 16, so it's a big part of me. And yeah.
That's actually really cool. Can you tell us how you became a manager at 16?
Yeah, so I started working there when I was 15, I think, in 2022. Yeah, so it's going on 3 years I worked there. And, I was just moving up and I wanted to be making more money as I got older. I wasn't able to deliver for just logistic reasons. So I asked if I could be a manager because I knew I had the skill set and I would be able to. So, I just asked. My boss loves me, so he was like, absolutely. And, I've been doing that since last year.
Nice.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
So I'm aware because I'm in LEAP leadership, working with freshmen. It's one of their biggest fears in high school is managing friends. And we know your history. Well, they don't know, but your history, you're new to Troy School District. You came freshman year. So I'm just wondering, the questions that we're going to ask you today, it's about making friends, managing friends, and ending friendships that are no longer serving you.
Right.
So if you want to start, yeah.
Well, let's introduce your background, and I know you were new to the Troy School District your freshman year. So do you want to talk more about your experiences?
Yeah. So I went to Novi schools from kindergarten to up until 8th grade. And then me and my family moved to Troy the summer in between 8th grade and my freshman year. So I moved, 45 minutes away starting high school, which is already nerve-wracking enough. And then when I say literally not a single soul, I did not know anyone when I moved here. So it was definitely nerve-wracking making friends and coming into a completely new environment while also starting high school was definitely crazy, for sure.
Yeah. I can kind of relate on you with that because I was also new my 8th grade year, and that was our virtual year. And we were didn't really talk to anyone, didn't have face-to-face interaction. So coming into freshman year, it was pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I would say by someone that has been going to Troy School District since kindergarten, everyone's new for the most part because you're coming the middle schools together. So everyone had that same freshman oh my gosh experience. You know what I mean? So that's why we wanted to talk about friendships today because it's very common amongst freshmen or just new students. So
yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to tell us how you made friends as a new freshman to the Troy School District?
Yeah, so I'm terribly shy. I'm super shy. So it was definitely a big feat that I had to get over and overcome to becoming friends or to make friends because I didn't want to be lonely my entire high school career. So I really just had to force myself to talk to people and literally just make conversation in any way possible. I think the first friend I made, I just asked where we were going for freshman photos, the first or second day of school. And yeah, that's just, I started meeting people. I think I met you the second day. I don't know if you remember. I think I met you the second day
no.
at those photos.
Guys, my memory is just
No,
not
that's
that
fine.
good.
That's fine. And I'm pretty sure you're probably who is this random girl? But that's literally probably how I started, just talking to people, forcing myself to get out of my comfort zone because I refused to just be lonely my entire high school.
That's good. Yeah, that's good that a lot of people can take that, your advice for that, try new things and step out of your comfort zone. And I feel if you didn't do that, you probably wouldn't be talking to anyone.
Absolutely not.
That's good.
Yeah.
So let's go into our first question. Have you ever had to let go of a friendship, and how did you handle that process?
Yeah, so I definitely have. I think it's a part of just growing up and being in high school. It's not a fun experience at the time. It's definitely painful, a lot of different emotions, conflicting emotions. That's a part of that process. But it's necessary at certain points. Just with certain aspects of relationships you don't want to be a part of anymore. They don't serve you as a person anymore. I think the biggest thing that helped me overcome it was just realizing that I was doing it for a reason. Like, there was a negative impact on me that was happening because I was staying in that friendship or those friendships or whatever. So, seeing the results of like just my well-being coming right out of that friendship immediately improved. I was, less anxious, less stressed, like less emotionally like chaotic just in my like being in my soul. So that definitely helped, just knowing that I would be okay eventually. And then also, I think something that I really had to come to terms with, especially when ending friendships that don't go the best all the time, I think is to not expect yourself from other people. A lot of the time a lot of the hurt and the pain was like, why is this happening? Because like I would never do something like this to you. Mm-hmm. But I think once you realize that you can't expect how you operate to be how someone else operates, it kind of allows you to forgive a bit more and not take things so personally and be able to move on and just understand that that's not how you would operate. They might operate that way and that's fine. You just don't need to be a part of that anymore. That was really what helped me, honestly. Yeah.
So how do you distinguish between a toxic friendship or a friendship that's worth fighting for?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on you and your boundaries and what you value in a friendship. It really just depends on, like I said, your values, what you actually need out of a relationship. And I think it's also important to identify why you're staying in a relationship. If you realize that it's not a relationship or a friendship that it feels good to be in, like, is this worth even fighting for or wanting to work on trying to stay a part of? Yeah. Right.
So what advice would you give to someone who's feeling guilty about letting go of a friend or realizing they've changed in ways that their friendship doesn't matter anymore?
Yeah, I think that guilt is definitely real and it's strong. I think that's why I've stayed in friendships that I knew probably weren't the best for me for as long as I did. Just that guilt of being like, yeah, I've been friends with this person for this amount of time and I don't want to hurt their feelings or anything like that. But I think realizing at the same time, yeah, they may feel some type of way about it, but at the same time, you do feel some type of way about it. Your emotions are valid. Everything you feel is valid. That's how you feel. You can't really help that. And at the end of the day, the only person you're guaranteed to be with for the rest of your life is yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think when it comes to friendships and like relationships and stuff like that, a certain level of selfishness is required in order to protect like your energy, your peace and all that. And that's my biggest thing. Like, don't mess with my peace. Like, I protect my peace. Like, I don't care.
That's good for you.
Thank you. And that's what I've learned with dealing friendships and stuff. It's like, at the end of the day, when I go home and I'm by myself, like, if I'm not okay with myself and I'm not at peace with myself and I can't relax without feeling stressed out because this person's doing this or this person's saying this, like, that's what I really care about, my own peace. So protecting my peace. Yeah. That's what's important.
So you kind of already talked about this, but how did you approach forming new friendships as you progressed through high school and especially like as your old friendships started to fade? Yeah, so I'll focus on like as old friendships started to fade because like you said, I already kind of went on the other point, but I think learning from old friendships is really important. Obviously there are reasons why you're not friends with the people you're friends with or not friends with anymore. And you can kind of use those relationships or friendships as a blueprint of kind of how to proceed with new relationships or friendships. And at the same time, like, use the friends that you have. That's how I made a lot of friends that I have. It's like mutual friends, you meet new people. It's kind of like a don't fix what's not broken type thing. Like, if you have friends and a group of people that you enjoy being around, expand that group, if that makes sense. That's how I've made a lot of my friends. And that's how I've kind of cultivated a group and a circle that I'm actually really proud of and I really love and appreciate all of them. Yeah.
To people who struggle with making friends, do you have any advice to get yourself out there?
I'd say don't be scared of people. You're gonna mix and mesh with who you mix and mesh with. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like, you'll be okay. I've had to learn that the hard way, just accepting not everyone's going to like you. You're just going to have to put yourself out there and take that risk, honestly.
Yeah. And then like adding on to what you said earlier, like I said, I've been going to Troy School District since I was in kindergarten. So some of the people that I was friends with in kindergarten, I'm not friends with in high school anymore. Right. And I feel like for me, when I was entering freshman year, I was very scared because like a lot of adults are like, I've been friends with so-and-so since I was 4 years old. And I'm like, oh, like, am I supposed to stay friends with them?
Right.
But like at the same time, it's not always a bad thing. Like you said, like growth, like personal growth, like you may have personal growth, like your friends, like,
Absolutely.
you know, like people change and they grow, they become different people. And it's not even like you stop being friends with someone, it has to be like beef. Like, you know,
100%.
like you can stop being friends with someone because it doesn't serve you and still like see them in the home, like, hey, how are you? You know,
Definitely.
or just like still live your own life. But like it's okay to move on. I feel like as a freshman, when I was like a freshman, I was very nervous on like leaving those old friends because we were growing like very different away from each other, and that's okay. And like I feel like that's not really talked about that much, but it is okay to grow out of people.
100%.
So,
yeah. I think you can still appreciate a friendship that you had with someone and appreciate the time that you've had with someone, and it doesn't have to be, like you said, like a bad thing, like that you're not friends with them anymore. Like, yeah, we don't talk as much as we used to, we don't hang as hard as we used to, but I still love them hard. You know what I mean? Like, it's no beef or anything like that. It's just we grow, we change. We're literally teenagers. Like, we're growing up and changing probably every single day. Like, the same friends we were friends with 7th or 8th grade, and we couldn't drive, we didn't have jobs, like none of that stuff. Like, life changes, so do our friends. It's no big deal, honestly.
I agree with that. And I believe people come into your life to teach you new things.
Absolutely.
And if you outgrow them, if you guys aren't meant to be lifelong friends, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah. And like something that my mom always says, like everything happens for a reason. And like everything that my mom says, when I like live by, it's like my personal
love
like
Mama Robinson.
I agree with that.
Shout out her.
Oh, she's probably watching this too.
Yes.
Shout out.
We
Mrs. Robinson.
So like everything happens for a reason, and I feel like once you understand that, like if you realize like, hey, I was friends with this person, I'm not friends with them anymore, that's okay, like we were saying. And like you were said earlier, I like that you pointed out prioritizing yourself, protecting your peace, and like learning also that your expectations that you have for other people, like if they don't meet that, then you probably should like let them go. But then also it's like understanding that everyone has their own complexity, like they have layers, and like no one was raised the same way, you know what I mean? And so like something that may offend me that like Cam or Nessa may do, they might not know like that's offensive. So I feel like just having, like we said, conversations, or just like setting your expectations and like knowing like, hey, this is my boundary and I don't want you to cross it. Like once you set those expectations for people, if they cross the clear boundary that you made, let them go. Because like then it's like they don't respect you as a person, and you do not want someone to be like in your circle that they don't respect you. Because like a big thing for me about friendships is like, I want you to be my friend in real life, like, you know, when I'm there and when I'm not. And if you can't defend me when I'm not there, like, I don't want it.
Exactly.
So, so my next question is, what role does communication play in figuring out if a friendship is healthy or toxic? And did you ever try to communicate with a friend before deciding to cut ties, and how did that go?
Okay, communication is literally everything. You can ask anyone. Like, I need communication in any of my relationships, like romantic, platonic, family, like literally anything. I think it's so important. At the same time, communication does not mean anything if there's not action to back up that communication. There has been friendships where we've sat down, we've had such long conversations about how we both feel, how we're gonna move on from how we feel, different situations that have happened, stuff like that. And while the words at face value were like, okay, great, cool, the actions that were done after those conversations weren't always lining up with what was being said. That made me okay to continue that friendship. And that's when I ultimately decided I can't be a part of this anymore, because you're not standing by what you're saying you're going to be doing in order to heal our friendship or relationship. So communication is very important. I think honest communication is necessary for any relationship, any friendship, just so both parties can be respected and valued in the friendship or relationship or whatever. But it needs to be backed up with some sustenance, like some action behind those words, 100%.
Right. And Ms. Zoll, in one of our podcasts, she talked about how she learned growing up, like she was listening, just like hearing people, like listening for a response and not actually comprehending what they were saying.
Right.
And I feel like that plays a big role in like communicating with like friendships, relationships, whatever.
Definitely.
Because if you're just listening and like responding, saying what they want to hear, it's not gonna last.
Yes.
Like you need to comprehend and
Right.
like understand where the other person is coming from.
Definitely.
So my other question is, how can you tell if someone's taking advantage or treating you poorly when valuing a relationship or friendship?
So I pay attention to like reciprocated energy. Because with my friends, if you're my friend, like you're my friend, like I love you, I will do pretty much anything for you. Like you ask, you got it. I'm not stingy with that, whether it be like rides, money, clothes, like literally whatever. And I notice a lot of the time with friendships that I'm not exactly valued or appreciated in, that energy doesn't always come back to me. Which is, I don't know about other people, but for me that hurts. I'm putting in 80% and I'm only getting back 20%. Like that doesn't feel good. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not saying necessarily that, if I give you a ride and you don't give me a ride back, I'm going to stop being friends with you.
Right.
It can just be a strong indicator as to how that person actually feels about that friendship that you're part of.
Because you're saying your values are you're there when your friend needs it, and if you can depend on your friend when you need it, then it's like hurtful. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I understand that.
Right, and even if they can't give you a ride, they can offer gas money. They can do other things just to show
Right.
that they're putting in effort into the relationship.
100%, and that was just an example. But
No,
it's just
yeah,
that
I
type
agree
of-
with that.
Yeah.
I've dealt with that too.
Yeah.
I promise you. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So, do you have any advice for like freshmen or people making new friends or just anything regarding like the friendship building bonding topic?
Yeah, I would say kind of what I was just saying, but like give energy to what gives energy back to you. That's a big one of what I've learned as like making friends throughout high school and trying to maintain strong friendships that actually mean something. If I'm, reaching out to you, trying to make plans and you never reaching out, nothing like that, I'm going to stop trying to make plans with you.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be like that, because I realized with certain friendships in the past, like if I didn't ask to make plans, and this is just an example, like I said, if I didn't ask to make plans, we wouldn't have plans. Like if I didn't reach out first to talk to you, I wouldn't hear from you.
Right.
And that doesn't feel good. Like
Right.
I shouldn't be, in my opinion, the only person that's maintaining our friendship. That's how I go about a lot of my friendships, and deciding like which friendships mean a lot to me is where I feel equally valued as a friend as they do. So making friendships, don't try to force anything. Like genuinely, it doesn't feel good. Trust me. Like have so much experience with this, unfortunately. Like I said, moving to a new school and making so many new friends, like put energy to what gives energy to you. And that would be my advice.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My younger sister, she's an 8th grader at Baker Middle School, and she was telling me how she had these boundaries with her friends, but every single time her friend would constantly go against her boundaries, go against what she was wishing. So what advice do you have to the younger listeners who are just scared to speak up or just don't have it in them to confront their friends or, establish that boundary?
I actually relate to that a lot, because that's a big thing for me, especially when I was younger. I would be so scared to stand up for myself, especially in my friendships, and I never wanted to like firmly establish boundaries and have people respect those boundaries, because I was afraid of conflict or like making them mad at me or whatever like that. Until I realized that if you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. Genuinely. You have to establish those boundaries if you want those boundaries to be respected. It can be scary, but the right people will respect those boundaries. You shouldn't have to beg for those boundaries to be respected. Yeah, it's important. Like if someone's telling you not to do something or to do something, just do it. Like if they actually respect and value, want to keep you around in their life as a friend, they will do it. And just finding the right people who will respect those boundaries is really important to maintain, like I said, like actual strong, meaningful friendships.
Right. I know someone else also talked to me about being scared of losing a friendship because they're scared of being lonely.
Yeah.
Do you have advice for that?
Yeah, that's that. Again, relate to that heavy.
Right.
you're going to lose friendships. Like, it's inevitable. I think that kind of gets into a deeper conversation of being okay with yourself and being okay with being lonely to some extent. That's something I've had to work on a lot, is, you know, as I've come across my personal journey of like protecting my peace and, you know, finding out what actually matters to me. I think being lonely is okay sometimes if it means that the people you are actually surrounded with, even if as few as they may be, are actual valuable friendships. It's like quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking
that's
about.
That's like amen, top tier, like number one for me. I'm okay with being lonely if it means I'm not surrounded by a bunch of fake people. That's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me. I've had to come to terms with that as I've gotten older. I think especially in high school it can be hard because there's a lot of like, it's a very social environment. And you want to have friends. It just kind of comes to terms with having those experiences where, yeah, I may have a bunch of friends, and I may be in a room full of people that say they care about me and they say they're my friend, but if I still feel lonely in that crowded room, like, I'd rather be lonely actually and be at peace with myself than be surrounded by a bunch of people who don't actually really care about me. That's just me. And that's just a personal journey I think everyone has to come to terms with a bit. Yeah. It's not a fun lesson, I think.
But it's necessary.
It's necessary. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I would say even further for the younger audience, like as you're entering high school, make sure you surround yourself with people that would support you and make you flourish, because you don't want to be surrounded by the wrong crowd of people at a young age. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the people you surround yourself by can also bring you down. If you have these goals, if you have these aspirations, and the people around you are lacking these goals, you don't want to stay around people who are going to bring you back.
Literally. Yeah.
So thank you so much again, Cam, for coming on our podcast.
Thank you.
Of course. I'm so honored to be here.
I loved hearing your experiences and also your advice to our listeners.
Thank you.
If you guys want to continue watching us, we are on YouTube, Spotify. Check out our Instagram at life.unfilteredpod.
And because you see Cam's on here, she's a student at Athens. If you want to be on the podcast, just DM, leave your name, talk about experience, something you want to talk about, and we got you. So thank you so much again for listening. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for having me so much.
Thank you so much to our listeners. We're your co-hosts, Vanessa Liu
and Gabrielle Robinson. And always remember to embrace the mess and live life unfiltered. Bye, guys.